Hello, 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 and welcome to the Leen Show, episode 24 of the Leen Show, and the first official Leen Show episode of 2024, guys. We made it.
Heck yeah.
We made it. We're here. We're ready to go, ready to roll. And Kathleen, we haven't spoke in quite a while, so I think we got some things to catch up on.
Yeah.
So, what have you been up to for the last 3 weeks?
3 weeks, yeah.
Of your time?
Yeah, I know. We went on a little holiday break. It was kind of nice. So yeah, I haven't seen you since probably the Christmas party or the Dirty Santa party.
Yeah.
No, life is good. I mean, January is trudging along like always. It's always historically like the longest month, the worst month. Everyone hates January. Been kind of like that for me. So I before we started the podcast, I was like, I'm gonna write down a list of everything that I've done or been doing over the past couple of weeks. A lot of it is TV shows that I've been watching, but one thing I wanted to start with is last night I finally for the first time watched The Matrix. Obviously super popular movie, right? I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I fell asleep literally halfway through it, and it just wasn't, it did not live up to any of the hypes at all. I was kind of excited to watch it. It was genuinely the first time I've ever watched it, and I really just didn't like it, and I didn't understand it at all.
So you watched half the movie, and then your takeaway is I don't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, it literally exactly it basically, and then the way I explained it to Sam was I was it started and I was watching, I was engaged, I was waiting to understand any of it, and the second they stepped into the Matrix and it started all of that stuff with the goop and the suits and all of that weird stuff, it completely lost me, and I was gone after that, and I was that was actually a super boring movie. It just didn't impress me at all, and I was surprised because I know that that's a really famous movie, and it's always referenced.
Well, so you didn't watch the second half?
No, I fell asleep. It was so boring to me, I literally fell asleep.
Right, but oh my god, what is happening
Wait,
in my camera?
I saw that.
What was that? And now okay. They can't see that,
no,
we're
yeah,
just
you're
gonna
good.
ignore that. But
I did see that, though.
I just turned into a personal strobe light to my camera that Kathleen can see.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, don't you think that's kind of I don't know, watching Pulp Fiction for an hour and being what the fuck is going on? Whatever. Couldn't you say that for almost any piece of art? If you don't finish it, how can you have a? Just saying.
When you bring up
the ending is kind of a big. Not that it explains all of it. It's a trilogy.
Yeah.
Also, the other two movies in the trilogy absolutely suck.
Right.
That's the other thing about The Matrix. That's kind of you're not entirely wrong if it doesn't resonate with you.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's interesting that you bring up Pulp Fiction because that actually kind of is how, and so Pulp Fiction is now one of my all-time favorite movies, but the first couple times I watched it, even probably the first one or two times I watched it, I didn't like it and I didn't get it, and it was, yeah, so maybe it's one of those situations where I need to give it another try and really sit and force myself to pay close attention, but I was doing that in the beginning. I was paying such close attention, and then somewhere along the way, it just completely, lost me. You know what I mean? But we don't have to, we don't have to dig deep into it. I just wanted to list a couple things that I watched over the break, because that's basically all I did with my time. The second thing is the Percy Jackson TV show on Disney. That shit is really good. I don't know if you have Disney Plus. I think I shared mine with you.
And you finished that one.
Yeah. Oh, I'm up to date. Well, the episodes come out every Wednesday, and so we're up to date. But that show is and it's literally basically a kid show. It's all kid actors. It's extremely PG, very Disney, but it's really, really good, and it's very it's following the books extremely closely. So there's tons of details, which I really love. You were in Miss Connor's third grade Pat's class, right? No? Oh, okay. So
No,
you
it's
weren't in
not.
that class where she basically read the series to us all year. We can bleep her name if we need to, but she read the series to us during that year of third grade, and I've been a huge fan ever since, and the show is really good.
No, I've read, I think I read the first one. Rick Riordan.
Yeah, I think that's the guy's name.
Yeah. I have very few memories of anything that happens in those books. I have memory of the movie that came out that sucked.
Yeah. Well,
that was cool.
I mean, yeah, the movie sucked because it was like, again, like there's so much detail like in that entire series, and they tried to just like push it in one movie, and it's like they made the actors, 25-year-olds that are supposed to be playing like 13-year-old kids. Like, and so like that's the good thing that Disney did, is like these actors are actually like 14 years old, and you can tell, like, it's basically a kids show, like I said. So it's really good. Recommend it to anybody that is into that genre, or even if you haven't read the books, like it's still a pretty good show if you like Greek gods like me.
Do you remember in the movie whenever Medusa is running down Percy and he pulls out his iPod Touch?
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, but if I look at her through the reflection of my iPod Touch, then I won't turn to stone."
Yeah, and it's funny.
What an unreal, like, some writer thought that was the coolest thing that they'd ever come up with.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, wait a minute, the Greek gods didn't think of this.
Yeah. The product placement. So we got to that scene in the TV show, and it's exactly how it is in the books, where he uses his sword, like same concept, but like he uses his sword to see the reflection, not his iPod Touch, but yeah. I mean, I don't hate those movies. Like the first one's definitely the best out of the.
There's only one, isn't there?
No, there's a second one. It's like Sea of Monsters, I think, because me and Sam watched it a couple weeks ago. There's either 2 or 3. There's definitely 2. I don't know if there's a third one, but I don't hate them. They're just cheesy, like, product placement movies, like almost like the Jurassic World series. Like, I don't hate that series, but like it's very cheesy, and there's tons of product placement. Like, just one of those movies, basically.
It's a movie that's treated as like a business investment, where they're like, if we can just get in the black on this movie, like, who gives a fuck who sees it, or like what even happens in it,
right?
But as long as like just enough people go and see it, then like we did our part, and who cares?
I mean,
right?
I'm sure you could find it on YouTube, but I'm pretty sure there's a video of like this specific scene in Jurassic World, like the first one, where it's like 2 minutes straight, and it's like, pick out all of the product placement in this particular like clip or whatever. And it's literally like an insane amount, because it's kind of like a shopping mall area, and it shows like all of the shops. So it's literally like so much like product placement, and literally at like one clip. It's crazy. All right.
Jimmy Buffett's in it.
Oh yeah. And he's literally like, he's like holding margaritas, and he's like running away for like 2 seconds. Okay. Let me look at the rest of my list. Oh, I went to DC. I wanted to talk about that.
Please.
Shout out DC. Yeah, I went for New Year's and hung out with my besties. Shout out to the Julias and Reed, who was the special guest on our last episode of the podcast. It was really fun. It was like way too short. Like, it was basically like 48 hours there. So like I didn't get to do like an insane amount of touristy stuff, because I also wanted to like spend time, because I don't get to see my friends like that often. But we did do.
So you didn't get to see like the big penis. You didn't get to see the big nipple.
So we saw.
You didn't see
So we saw the big penis, which is the Capitol building, right? That looks like
No.
Okay, what building is that?
It's the Washington Monument.
Okay. I'm thinking of like almost like the one that's in downtown Tallahassee, where it has like the 2 buildings and then the one very tall building in the middle, like 2 dome buildings and then a tall building in the middle.
So it looks like a dick and balls.
Yeah. But no, we saw the Washington Monument. We saw the White House, which it's like you can't really see. I mean, have you been to DC before? Have you been to DC before?
Yes.
Okay. So you know how the White House, like, you can't really get that close to it. Like, the fence is very, very far away from the house, so you don't really have a good view. Like, you're literally just staring through like a black gate. Like, you can't really see the White House.
I mean, yeah. I wonder why they do that. Why can't you just like walk in the White House? I don't really get it.
It's so
weird. Like, that was like, I went to DC. My main takeaway was like, why is the White House so guarded? What's so important about it? It's just like Pennsylvania Avenue. I mean, it's just a street. There's a house on it. What's the big deal?
Oh my gosh. Sorry, that was hilarious. Yeah, no. And then we did. God, why is the White House so guarded? We did 2 museums, the Air and Space and then Natural History, which both were very cool, but very busy. I guess it's a popular thing to go to DC around the holidays, because there were tons and tons of people there. Like, tons and tons of people. You have to like get in a queue now to go into the Museum of Natural History. You can't just walk in. Like, you've got to get in line. Like, you have to reserve your spots ahead of time. Probably like a post-COVID thing. But no, it was awesome. I would love to go back. I'd live there, like, if I had the chance. It's a cool city.
I would not, but it is. I mean, you know, it's cool, I guess.
I feel like you just have to deal with the president. Anytime the president leaves, like, every single road shutting down, basically. Like, I guess they have public transit, but I'm sure, like, the president leaves, comes and goes all the time, and so it's, like, crazy shutting down the streets.
Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, another part of it is, like, this is going to sound like a really dumb thing to say, but I could defend it. Like, it's a city that, like, has culture, but, like, the city itself, like, the culture is, like, very strange. It's a very weird culture because for the most part, it's all, like, people who work in politics.
Yeah.
Who, like, don't really... It almost, like, in politics, it benefits you way more to not have a personality than have a personality.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people, I mean, there are businesses there. There are, like... It's, like, whenever... Because, you know, there's a guy, Tony P in DC.
Okay.
Shout out Tony P. He's like a DC influencer. I didn't really know that was a thing. But I apparently, but it's like, it's such a weird thing to be a DC influencer because like he like vlogs himself. He like lives in like some like nice apartment. He goes to like bars and like does like stuff. But then it's like, dude, like you're in Washington DC. It's like all these like little shops, like these restaurants. I mean, like restaurants is one thing, like, you know, any city that has that many like important people, it's gonna have good food relatively.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like what would the culture of DC be? Like a bunch of dudes in suits, like trying to be very ambitious.
I mean,
what is the culture?
So I think that it is, yes, it is a lot. Me speaking on DC when I've never lived there and I've only visited twice. I think it is like a large portion people in politics, right? Like, you know, doing their thing. They're either high up in politics or maybe they're just working for, you know, a political party or something. They have some sort of government job. Then you have students, right? So people that are either going to Georgetown like Red or going to other schools in DC, or they have internships in DC because they want to be lawyers. They want to work in politics. So I think it's a lot of politics. It's a lot of scholars, right? So like people in school. And then the rest of the people, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's, like, booming business in D.C. You know what I mean? Like, I would imagine so. Like, maybe there's, like, a finance, like, pool for D.C. Who knows? But I view it as, like...
What would that even look like?
A Wall
like,
Street in D.C.?
That's what I mean is... Or, like, no, just, like, what would, like, you know,
a lawyer's like version of Wall Street.
Like, or I mean, just like, I mean, probably not like in general, because like, I mean, New York's just right there for the most part.
Train right away, yeah.
So I feel like it's probably not like a financial district. I mean, like what like there's like I can't think of, what is it, like Men's Warehouse, whatever that is, like the suit stores. I guess that's like that would be a booming business in DC, is like a suit store.
I mean,
but also going back what you said, like, oh yeah, it's a culture full of students. Let's say relatively well-off students, because these places' tuitions are insane. George Washington and Georgetown. You get students, lawyers, and wannabe politicians. Wow, what a group you want to hang out with.
Right.
What a fun group.
Right.
Yeah, guys, that's gonna be like, oh, those guys get down. You know, they know how to party. They know about culture.
Hey,
you can learn a thing or two from them, right?
I think DC definitely has some nightlife. I mean, they got some clubs for sure. They've got some. I mean, I think people do like to party there. You know, I do. I think they do like to party. But no, it was a great time. I would definitely go back and like go back for longer because there's so much to do and you can't do it all in like 48. Like I said, we were there for like 48 hours, but it was awesome. Good to see everybody. You know, our friend group always tries to get together for New Year's. That's kind of like our thing. And not everybody can always make it, but it was awesome.
Cool. Well, I worked.
Yeah.
So that's the 2023-2024 recap. For both of us. I'm glad that you had a great time. Glad you got back safe. And I think 2024 has gotten off to a hot start in terms of stories. I think a lot of crazy shit has happened. So we're recording this on January 14th. We're not going to get to a lot of it today. But I mean, some crazy shit's happened like the first 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, We got Nick Saban retiring. We got the Epstein list. We got Gypsy Rose being released.
Oh God, that's right.
Gypsy Rose. I'm not prepped on Gypsy Rose. I'm strongly considering doing an I Need Her Part 2 on Gypsy Rose. I don't know though. You know,
she's taken.
If that's where my heart wants to go.
She's taken.
Yeah. Did you see the thing where she like put out the picture of her husband being like, and by the way, you have a bomb D and you rock my world every night.
Oh no.
Did you see that? I was like on Instagram.
I didn't. Good for her though. I mean, she's expressing herself. All right. What else? What other stories?
Well, really quick, do you want to like explain the Gypsy Rose story to people? Like, we don't have to get super into it, but what is? I mean,
yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I'm not prepped on this either, but I'll go for it. So, if you've ever seen, there's a movie on Hulu, not Sandra Bullock, the woman from American Horror Stories, Pollock.
I'm not sure.
Fudge. What's her name? Sarah Pollock or something like that. Sarah something. She's very famous from American Horror Stories. She stars in it, whatever. And it's like the story of this mom, basically, that has this disease. Lee is fact-checking me as we speak. Lee, look up the disease. This is why we need one of those guys in the other room.
I'm not.
That can look stuff up for us. Okay, so there's a very specific disease.
It's called a producer. We need a producer. That's what we need. We need an actual fucking producer.
We need an assistant.
But whatever, regardless of that.
So there is, and this is a real thing. There is a disease that parents, it's a parental disease, whatever, can develop where you essentially want your kid to be sick so that you can take care of them, because you get like a rush from like being parental and like taking care of your kid when they're sick. And so you develop this weird psychological disorder where you want...
I have the name if you want it.
Yeah, go for it. What's the name?
I'm sorry, my internet's being really... My internet's being bad right now. I want to punish it, but I can't because it's not a real thing. It's radio waves, but it's being very bad right now.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the name?
I think I'm back. Okay, it's called... God fucking damn it. It's called Munchausen by proxy. Munchausen, Munchausen by proxy.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Yes.
So it's a rare mental disorder.
Yes. Where basically, like I said, you want your kid to be sick, and so you do things to make them sick. You essentially poison your kid. So Gypsy Rose's mom was doing that to her, and I don't know all of the details, but I would imagine it's a combination of giving her medications that she doesn't need. I want to say she was given like animal tranquilizers or like pills that were literally for like dogs or horses or something like that. But this mixture of medications that caused her to be like is it lame, whatever, when you can't walk. Like she couldn't walk. She, was just sick all the time, like basically like having all of these problems. And then I'm pretty sure in the end she kills her mom. Like she escapes and she kills her mom, and that's what she was in jail for. That's my version. That's my side.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's my side of the story.
Yeah, so basically, and her mother, like, gained a lot of, like, national notoriety, being like, oh my god, look at this great mother, like, in this tragic situation. I want to say, like, she got, like, what is that show, like, Great House Makeover or whatever? I want to say they built her a house.
Oh, really?
And I think so.
Oh,
my internet is really bad, so I don't want to Google anything because it might just shut down my whole computer. But I want to say, like, yeah, it was something like that where there's a scene in Orange is the New Black that's kind of like about this, where I forget the character, but it's the one that like has all the abortions, like the white chick who has all the abortions.
I didn't watch that.
There's like a flashback scene. Well, yeah, so it's just like one of the women in the prison. There's a flashback scene where like her mom is like filling her with like Mountain Dew before a doctor's appointment, and it's like Mountain Dew and maybe like Red Bull or something. It's like a huge like caffeine mixture, and she's like chugging it down her kid's throat basically.
Yeah.
And then they immediately go into a doctor's office and they're like, look at my child, she's spazzing around like she's crazy, she needs serious medical help. It's something like that.
True.
Where, you like the mother wants to feel needed so bad that they basically like you said, they poison their child,
right,
so that the kid has like medical conditions that they might not even actually have. And it's it's really crazy too, because like it's such a deep psychological hit that Gypsy had, which is why I think I could fix her. Is like she literally was convinced that she had these things that she didn't have. Like she thought like, oh yeah, of course I can't walk. Of course, like I have all these insane medical complications. Even though she knew that she could walk, and like even though she knew it was fake, like she just went along with the act because it was so ingrained in her. Like, oh, I guess this is just who I am.
Yeah, like Stockholm syndrome almost.
Something like that. It's a crazy story. And her husband has a bomb D that rocks her world. That's the modern twist on that story.
So now she's out, and is she doing a documentary or a podcast, or is she coming out with something, or did I make that up?
Oh God, I hope she has a podcast.
I mean,
no, if she's smart, let me role play as her agent or her manager, okay? If I'm Gypsy, and she's already kind of doing this, like she's already kind of on the road, right? You get out. I think she got out maybe late 2023, early 2024. She's free now, and immediately, go on the Today Show, go on The View, right? Go on some like couple comedian get on like Theo Vaughn, or get on like Segura, or get on Your Mom's House or something, and just be like, I'm Gypsy Rose. Yes, I killed my mother. Yes, I can walk. And just like kind of like start building your brand, you know?
Yeah.
Like your name is a brand already, Gypsy Rose. That's like, you don't even have to change it. If your name was like Emily, like Emily Finney, or some weird, like, you know what I mean? I don't know why that was the name.
Yeah, that's
but like you have some non-marketable name. Think about the merch opportunities with Gypsy Rose. You know?
Yeah, totally. I was gonna say.
I'm just saying, like you got to go. Like you got to like she should be doing ads for like BetterHelp.
Yeah, she should.
You know, like she needs to be like making Blue Apron meals on her Instagram.
Yeah, I think she's a little bigger than both of those. I think anybody can. I mean, hey, anybody can do BetterHelp, right? We'd love to get a sponsorship from BetterHelp. Shout out BetterHelp. No, I mean, I think that she's probably at least going to come out with either a podcast, a documentary, a movie, all three. But long story short, like, she's out. I mean, I don't think there's much more to the story, right? I mean, you can read all about it and dig into, like, the different details. There's been, like, at least one documentary about it before, I'm sure. I don't know how old she is. I don't know how long she's been married. I don't know if she was married in prison. I don't know a lot of things about Miss Gypsy Rose. But what I do know is that she's free. And I don't know where was she in prison? I'm guessing she's in LA if she's smart. Can't imagine she'd be anywhere else.
Well, she's from the real LA.
Oh no.
Louisiana.
No. Of course. I'll bite my tongue, but of course she is. That makes total sense.
Yeah. I mean, her mom's name is Dee Dee.
Down in the
There's only about three or four states that a woman named Dee Dee could just pop up at.
Yeah.
Be like, yep, here she is. It's Dee Dee, right? It's like Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. Really, that's it.
That's fair. It's a cute name.
Yeah.
Dead silence.
Yeah, it's it's like like, oh, your name's OJ. That's cool. Like the drink.
Oh my god.
You know? Oh, that's cool.
So go back to, why do you think you can fix her? Or were you kidding?
I mean, I just think like she hasn't had like a really great, leader in her life, and I think we could learn a lot from each other. I think she's been through some stuff. I've been through some stuff. Her probably a little more than me. But like I want to get in that head. I want to get in that big head. I'm just fascinated. I'm just fascinated by what's going on in there. What does she think?
Man.
What are her thoughts?
Yeah.
Let's get her a mic.
Yeah.
Let's let her speak.
I'm sure she'll be on like Jimmy Fallon or something soon. So.
Yeah, like her and Jimmy are gonna play a game like, would you kill her?
Oh my.
And it would be like famous TV moms.
Yeah.
and it'll be like, oh yeah, Skylar White. Oh, I'd kill her.
Oh my god,
And then, like,
I would
and then
too.
and then the Roots like do like a little song about killing Skylar White.
Bum, bum,
Yeah.
ba-da.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I think she should do that.
I hate Skylar White. I'm not gonna go further, but I hate Skylar White. So did you see that? I think I texted you about this. Did you see that Tosh has a show? The Tosh show. Tosh.0 has become the Tosh show. Or no, it's Tosh.
Yeah, I don't.
Tosh podcast. Whatever it is, I love
Who
it.
cares?
You don't care? I care. Who cares? Me and all the other people that love Tosh.
I mean, I thought you know.
You know what a
Whatever.
Tosh fan?
If he wants to do that,
He was asked.
I like Tosh, sure.
The network asked him to do it. It wasn't his idea. The story is the network went to him and asked him to do it, and he was like, I'll only do it if you don't, like, he was like, I'll only do it, but if this is my one rule, like, I'm not going to interview any celebrities, and I'm not going to interview any comedians. Like, I'm only going to interview, like, non-famous people. Well, that's not true. It's not, like, non-famous people, but it's not any comedians and, like, not, like, any, like, huge celebrities. So he's, like, interviewing just, like, random people he knows, and it's cool.
He's so different. Oh, my God, he's so different
No,
for
it's
that.
funny.
He's
Oh
interviewing
my
philosophers.
God.
Not Theo Von.
No, like, he interviewed, like, his wife's gynecologist, and it was, like, fucking hilarious. Like, it's literally, like, so good. But I'm, like, I mean, I love Tosh. Like, that was, like, my thing in middle school. Even though I'm sure I didn't get, like, 50% of the jokes because I was, like, too young. But I'm glad he's back. I just like him.
I mean, what network? I guess like his agent or something. It's like, God damn it,
I think he said
Daniel,
it.
you're just leaving. You're just. I mean, probably. He's probably just very honest about it. Like, yeah, I don't really want to do this, but you know, my agent literally calls me every day, and he's like, dude, you could just make like $500K a year probably, just doing a podcast, no prep.
Yeah.
Just go out there, like, we'll build you your set. You know, like, we'll give you a producer. We'll buy all your equipment. We'll set it up. All you have to do is just show up and talk for an hour and then leave.
Literally, though.
And then, you know, you can make $300 to $500K this year. And he's like, fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Not that he needs it.
It's really funny. Yeah, no, and I mean, Sam and I were talking about this too. Like, Joe Rogan has even said before that, like, Tosh was just, like, one of those where it's like, he made his money and then he was like, all right, peace. And, like, he just, like, went underground for, like, so long. Like, I'm sure he, like, did stand up, you know, in LA or wherever he lives, like, just, like, randomly. But, like, I don't think he, like, really did much. And now he's, like, popped back up again. I'm glad because he's funny AF.
Cool. I mean, I like him, too. I just, you know.
Just some headlines.
Do we need another podcast?
I mean,
I
hey.
He's kind of taking our space a little bit.
No.
There's only room for one more.
I just think the podcasts have just become so wildly popular, like really exploded, like in the past year. I mean, probably ever really since like COVID, but like especially in like the past year, like I feel like podcasts are exploding. I say why not? I mean, there's already a million podcasts out there that are just about the one fucking Scandival thing that happened on Vanderpump. Like, literally, like, one couple, like, cheated, and, like, 6 different podcasts have, like, come up about it. But, like, that's, you know, the name of the game. And I will listen to all of them because they all are a little bit different, and they all have a little bit different details. And so it's like, if I want to listen to...
Do they?
Yeah, they do, because everybody has a different side to things. You know, that's what's good about reality TV. Everybody has different experiences, and they've seen different things, and they have different tea. So you got to watch all of them so that you know all the facts. If you're a Vanderpump fan like me. Coming out at the end of the month, by the way, season 11.
Oh, wow.
Just some headlines. Headlines, guys.
Cool.
Headlines.
Cool.
It's the new year.
We're doing
just
headlines.
running through them.
All right.
Yeah, we're running through them.
All right, let me go to Google News, see what's popping over there.
TMZ.
Maybe get another headline from over there.
I did check TMZ, but there wasn't anything interesting in like the top 5 articles. So, something about
It was like
No, it's the stupid stuff about the Golden Globes where it's like, did Kylie Jenner tell Selena Gomez that she couldn't take a picture with Timothée Chalamet? I don't know if you saw all that. Like, come on, guys. You can't do something better than that. Like, that's...
My life has been completely changed.
Like,
since
that's
I saw
the
that.
gossip you get out of the Golden Globes, is that there's a possibility that Kylie Jenner said no. And, like, oh, God. In what world would that even happen? Like, that seems so... And, like, people going on TikTok and, like, pretended to be, like, they're like, I am a red carpet analyst. It's like, what? They're like, my job is to coordinate between the paparazzi and the celebrities and to coordinate people walking down the red carpet aisle. And they're like pretending to be people that were there that night. And they're like, this is what I saw happen between Kylie and Selena. And I'm like, you're lying about all of this. A red carpet analyst.
Yeah.
This girl literally was like, I'm a red carpet or coordinator. Like, imagine that being your job.
Sounds like you could just say literally anything and then be like, well, this is my opinion. I'm an expert on this.
I mean, yeah, you can get on TikTok and say whatever you want if people believe you or not.
Okay, how about so we're doing headlines. How about this? Frederick X is proclaimed the new king of Denmark after his mother, Queen Margaret II. Sorry, that was the end of the headline. Frederick X is proclaimed the new king of Denmark after his mother, Queen Marguerite II, abdicates. No idea what that means. Any thoughts on that?
Abdicates means you give up the throne. Like the throne is yours and you say, nope, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm abdicating.
That's so selfless. That's so selfless.
It's funny. I saw that headline, but it was another headline that was like, what does Poland think about the new, king in Denmark? I don't even know. I couldn't point Denmark out on a map for you. Gun to my head, I couldn't tell you where that is. Not at all.
What continent is it in?
I mean, I know it's in Europe. Right?
Okay.
I know it's in Europe, but I mean,
right? You're like, I'm like 90% sure it's somewhere in Europe, right? Right? That's not like Egypt where it's just in Africa. Weirdly,
I know that. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's not one of those.
Oh gosh. No, I know it's in Europe, but I don't know. I mean, who cares?
I mean, I really did. I think I did kind of overhype the headlines because I'm like, yeah, lots of crazy shit's happened, and then our reaction to the last 5 stories has been like, who really cares?
Yeah.
I think that says more about me than the stories, but regardless, I got a couple things I really want to talk about. But before that, I just want to introduce. I had this idea last year. It was actually on New Year's Eve. I had a very, very romantic New Year's Eve. I got off work at 10:45. I came home and I drank a bottle of champagne by myself.
Nice.
And that was my New Year's. It was actually really fun. And I had this thought at some point, I don't know when in the bottle, probably near the end, but I had this thought that we already kind of do this, but I'm going to make more of a concerted effort to do this more, where I think the big thing with, and I'm using you as an example, but I hope it's not disparaging in any way. I think a lot of Gen Z people either like the way that social media kind of like hyper, like it's everything so quick and you see things so fast. I think what happens with a lot of major news stories is people know of them and they get like the slightest little bits of information on it based on like memes or jokes being made about it.
Yeah.
But there's no like, okay, here's the story. And then based on the story, here's like reactions to it. Here's jokes about it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people just see the jokes about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of like, they work backwards being like, okay, what actually happened?
Yeah.
Like they see like a joke of like Stephen Hawking. How would he even get his dick sucked?
Right.
And then you're like, okay, I guess that means that he was on Epstein's island, which he was.
Right.
So I think
that's a good example.
What I'm going to do, I'm just, right?
Yeah. Was it you that was,
like,
sorry to interrupt you, but was it you that was sending me all the Stephen Hawking TikToks? Or it might have been Bryce. Someone's been blowing me up. Okay, never mind. I think it was Bryce. Someone's been blowing me up with Stephen Hawking TikToks, and it's so hilarious. But anyway, continue.
Point being, like, there's not really a great, which is funny because, like, we're in literally the most accessible information age in human history. But, like, a lot of people don't get the full context of stories, even though it's more available than it's ever been. I think that's probably the problem. It's like it's so available, people just don't even care about it.
Yeah.
Like, if everything was, like, you had to read a newspaper to find out what was going on, then everybody just reads that paper. It's like, oh, I just read the paper.
Right.
And then the way that one journalist contextualizes a story is the way that everybody views it. And they're like, oh, this is what happened. You read the article, didn't you? And then now it's just like, I saw a guy on Twitter, saying, like, making a joke about it, and like that's your opinion on
that's
it, or
your
that's where you get the
entry
story.
point. Yeah.
All this is to say that in 2024, what I want to do is once a week, and I could very briefly do this with Epstein, I guess, is like, it's called like something like reality hit of the week. All right. And not Vanderpump, not reality television.
Oh.
Like here's what's happening in the real world. And I'll explain it and be like, all right, eat your vegetables in this one part. You maybe say pump, I meant part. For this one part.
It's already in your head.
Yeah, it's in there. So that's something that I want to do, where it's like, hey guys, when you go out in the world and you hear people talk about these things, for the most part, people don't have the full context of these stories.
Very true.
So my job, what I'll do is I'll be like, hey guys, all right, here's like a couple facts about it. Here's what's happening in the real world.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about it briefly, and then you get the information, and then we'll go on to talking about like the dick in the tit in Washington D.C. and make jokes about it.
I love
the
that.
tit is the Capitol building, by the way.
Okay, got it. Yeah, no, I think that sounds great.
So.
That sounds fun, and it'll be good for me to get more knowledgeable on topics.
I just think it's like it'd be a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's smart.
And I can just throw it in there. Be like, hey guys, I don't know if you know this, but like, there's some stuff happening in Gaza.
Oh god.
And I'm like, I'm not like no opinions, no like, all right, here's what happened, and then we can move on. But then, when you're out talking with your friends or you're thinking about it yourself, and you're seeing jokes, you're seeing people make points on the internet, you kind of know what they're talking about.
Right.
And you, as an informed adult, or close enough, will kind of have your own like information to deal with that. And so that way you're not just literally having your entire, opinion, thought process just flipped over and over again based on like one joke or one TikTok or one tweet. Like, you come in and because that's kind of what I do with stories for the most part, is whenever it's like specifically on Twitter, is like those steps happen like almost immediately, where it's like most people who are like who get like big tweets with like crazy opinions or like jokes or whatever, they don't even know the full context.
Yeah.
They know like one thing.
Right.
And then they fire it off. But they have no authority.
Yeah, no.
And really, there's very few people who have the authority to be like, oh, I know what happened, and then I'm going to make a joke based on that. So that's what I'm going to do. I mean, like, I'll do like 30 seconds on Epstein. I mean, I could do like an hour. But okay, here's what happened. Okay, guys. All right, here's what happened. All right. So, Epstein,
Jeffrey,
if you're not familiar, the New York financier.
Jeffy boy.
Have you seen that, where it's like forget the guy's name. I think his name's Jim Downey. He was like an SNL writer. He was like friends with Norm, and he was on like Conan's podcast. And Conan's like, much has been said about Jeffrey Epstein, and he's like, Jeff Epstein, the New York financier. Is there a new development with him? And they're like, yeah, he's dead. And he's like, no, I don't think so. He's like, well, he's like, no, I haven't really spoken to him since COVID, but I'm pretty sure if anything happened with Jeff Epstein, I would have heard about it anyway.
Was he being legit, or was he like, was it?
No, he's a comedian. He was fucking around.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, we have 10 minutes left, so you have 10 minutes to do the story.
So here's the deal. Epstein. Oh, fuck.
You said 30
you
seconds
really
on
can't.
Epstein.
You really can't do 30 seconds. I'm going too broad with it. But like, if you don't
have to start from the beginning. Okay. Don't start from the beginning. Everybody knows the beginning. Everybody knows.
I don't think they do. What's the beginning?
Like,
what's the beginning to you?
The beginning is him and Ghislaine Maxwell getting arrested and all of the stuff coming out about the island.
I was gonna go way further back than that.
Okay, do a deep dive.
I was gonna say.
You have a countdown.
Okay. Here's all I'll say is Epstein was he was technically
Jeffrey Epstein was born on August 12th, 1954.
1954, as we all know. Anyway, Epstein he worked at a big Wall Street firm. He taught at Dalton, which is like a big private school in Manhattan. And basically the story of his career pre like the 90s is he was a scammer. He was very charming. He's good looking guy. very, very charming, very manipulative. But he would get it, like, he would basically just lie on his resume.
Yeah.
Like, he had no teaching experience, lied on his resume, got a job at Dalton working for Bill Barr's father. You don't know who that is. That's fine. He's the attorney general. And he worked at a Wall Street firm, got that job from the Dalton job, whatever. But basically, his entire life changed when, and there's a lot of speculation on how he got this, but his real claim to fame is in the 90s, he was given full financial control of all of Lex Wessner's money. And Lex Wessner was and probably still is technically the richest man in Ohio. If you've seen Social Network, you know the story about Victoria's Secret. You know the story about Victoria's Secret?
No.
The guy, the founder, he made like a lingerie company so that his wife didn't feel uncomfortable buying like lingerie and underwear. The store blows up. This guy sells it to Lex Wessner for like $1 million. And then like 5 years later, that guy jumps off the Golden Gate Bridge because Victoria's Secret's worth like $1 billion.
Oh my God.
And
That's
Lex
sad.
Wessner scammed him.
That's
Yeah,
so
Lex
sad.
Wessner, he's a very big fashion industry guy, made all this money. So he basically just gave Epstein all of his money and said, "Here, you control it, you deal with it." And then through that, he built like a very strong circle of sphere of influence with famous celebrities, rich billionaires, millionaires, politicians, athletes, actors, actresses, whatever. And it all culminated in obviously him getting arrested in 2019, him committing suicide or getting murdered, whatever you want to say, and whatever. So it all kind of culminated in there is this idea of there would just be this list, this client list of like everyone who is on the island, everybody who definitely like were, you know, had children trafficked for them, participated in like the ring.
Yeah.
And Virginia Jafir Roberts and another woman whose name I can't remember, but she's the main one, are like the two main victims who there's a Netflix documentary about it. That's
I've seen that. Yeah.
It explains some stuff.
Yeah.
And they kind of explain she's like the one that like kind of publicized it. And basically what came out the other day, about a week or so ago at this point, it's like 600 something pages of legal documents on with Virginia being interviewed, and basically her being interviewed being asked about people that like she interacted with, people in Epstein's orbit. And so really that's all to say that if you see somebody with a couple exceptions of people like Stephen Hawking, who it's like, oh yeah, big time, you for sure did that and you're fucked up for that. But there are people named where it's like, oh my God, you got named, but it's like Jimmy Kimmel's one where he's like named, but the naming is them, like the interviewer asking Virginia like, oh, what did you see Jimmy Kimmel? And she's like, no. And that's him being named.
Okay.
And Leo DiCaprio gets named.
Oh,
Cameron Diaz gets named. No, but it's not like him being named.
Just means
is
they
literally
asked
the
about
context.
it. Just means they asked.
The context of Leo being named is literally Virginia claims one day she was giving Jeffrey a massage in Palm Beach and he was on the phone, and then he like finishes his conversation on the phone, he hangs up and he tells Virginia like, oh, that was Leo DiCaprio.
Okay.
Oh, that was Bruce Willis. Oh,
Got
that
it.
was whatever. Because part of Epstein's thing is he wanted to be like, yes, he was probably a sociopath, probably a compulsive liar, but he was somebody who like he had to feel like he was like in influential circles. He's like, that was the only thing he really cared about.
Yes.
He wanted to feel like the man. He wanted to be fucking Gatsby, right?
Yes.
He wanted to be surrounded by wealth and as many cool and powerful people as possible. And I'm not going to get in, you know, there's a lot more to say about that, how he accomplished that. I'm not going to, that's not, that's not for me to speak on today. But that was kind of his thing, was he wanted to be surrounded by big influential people. So it doesn't mean that like, I'm trying to think of another good example of like, it's, because like all of the examples I'm thinking of right now are people who like were actually bad, right?
Mhm.
Like, you know, like Clinton and Prince Andrew. Yes. Yeah. There's a famous picture
People who already
with
have,
Virginia
like, histories.
and Ghislaine and Andrew
Yeah.
together
Yeah.
in London. She was like 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is all to say that just because you see someone being named in the documents, being like, oh my God, Leo DiCaprio,
Mhm.
like, is
Mhm.
an abuser. Well, not really.
Yeah.
He was just named once in like this kind of
Transcript.
out of. It's like if you really wanted to prosecute every single person who was ever like in the same room as him or at the same party as him, then it would be like everybody. I mean, like there's a picture of Elon Musk and Ghislaine like at a party, like posing together, like, hey,
Right.
you know?
Right.
There's the famous video of, I think it's from the 90s, like a news report, like Trump and Epstein at Mar-a-Lago, and they're like talking to each other, like Trump's like whispering something in his ear, and Epstein's like, haha, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's the Trump quote where he's like, oh yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, he's a cool guy, and I hear he likes his girls real young or something like that.
Yeah.
He likes them young.
Yikes.
So I mean, it's a real quote, you know. Apparently, Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago once he found out that he was trying to recruit girls to traffic.
Apparently.
That's what they say.
Apparently.
That's what they say.
You're about to get cut off, I think.
That's fine. So that's just that's the reality hit of the week. All right.
Hey.
It's like, I'm just saying, that's the reality hit of the week, and that was off the dome. Kathleen.
Yeah.
As I say many times on this show, we're not a sports podcast, but if we talk about sports, it'll be in something like a bigger context that'll be interesting to somebody who doesn't give a fuck about it.
That's the rule.
At least that's my goal.
Yeah.
Right? That's the rule?
Yeah.
So a story that kind of, like I said earlier, that I mentioned Nick Saban retiring. Now, if we just talked about like his legacy at Alabama, then yeah, that's a sports topic.
Right.
Who really cares?
Right.
So here's where I want to go with this. And I tell this story all the time to people I know because it seems like everyone just forgot about it, and it's still one of the craziest things that's ever happened in our hometown's history. And I love it so much. It's a great story. But so Nick Saban retires. It has nothing to do with Nick Saban. Well, not really. So Saban retires, and the guy that they hired to replace him is Washington's head coach. Name's Kellen DeBoer. I think it's DeBoer, something like that.
I don't know.
And the last time that Alabama hired a head coach from the state of Washington, which is how we kind of relate it to this story, is in 2002 when Alabama hired a man named Mike Price to be the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, where am I going with this, Lee? Who gives a fuck? That was 21 years ago. Well, just hear me out, all right? Just hear me out. So, Mike Price was hired in 2002, and he never coached a football game with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Oh, did he have some kind of medical emergency? Did he unfortunately pass away? Maybe something tragic? No, he got fired because there was a very public article posted in Sports Illustrated detailing a weekend of degeneracy of him going to a strip club and having a threesome with strippers in a strip club in Pensacola, Florida.
Sammy's?
No, it was Artie's Angels.
Oh, Artie's. Yeah, over by the bridge. The one bridge, it's like it's not the Barrancas Bridge, it's like the Pace Bridge. Or no, not the Pace Bridge, it's like the
Not the Pace Bridge
to get to Pace Boulevard. But that side of town, yeah.
Yeah.
My grandparents live kind of over there. Damn.
Yeah, so they're probably familiar with the story. So I could probably tell it off the top of my head pretty well because I love it so much.
Yeah.
But I did pull up an article from the time to get a little time capsule.
Okay.
So the other context I'll say before I read this article is Alabama kind of had a perception, and they still do for sure, of being a party school, right? Like
they think.
I mean, you're a Florida State kid, so you're like, oh, we party harder. Anyway, point being, like, they did it though. Like, they're kind of known as like a school doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You come here, you know, you do Greek life, you go to bars, you have parties, you know, you drink, you have fun, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of the Alabama perception 21 years ago and also still kind of today. But there was a new president of the university. I don't have the guy's name right here, but there was a new president of Alabama right around the time that they hired Mike Price. And this guy's number one priority is like give Alabama, like the university, respect.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, I don't want scandals.
Sure.
I don't want this to be like a party school. And like I don't want anything like that. I want like a good solid, school where people come here because of the academics.
Yeah, good.
And everything else is kind of like fills in the blanks, right?
Yeah.
But they come here because it's a good school and it's safe and you can bring your kids here, right? This is what this guy wanted. And his first hire immediately was hiring Mike Price, who was, like a party animal.
Mm-hmm.
He was a partier.
Apparently.
Now, before this Sports Illustrated article came out, which, by the way, it came out, and then he sued Sports Illustrated and then won his lawsuit. So he won like a couple million. Yeah,
That's
he like
cool.
won a couple. It's kind of a good story.
Yeah.
He won like a couple $1 million in a settlement a couple years later because the article was like very like, there's a scene or there's like a piece in the article where he's like having a threesome in a bedroom at like a Hilton or something because he was here for a celebrity golf tournament.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
There used to be a golf tournament called like the Blue Angel Open or something. He was here for that. And apparently he was like having a threesome in his hotel room with two strippers, and like he was like making them like say "Roll Tide" like as she was riding them.
Oh,
and that's like in the
God.
article. Like
PG-13.
he's like say "Roll Tide," like "Roll Tide, Roll Tide." That's like in the article. And so it's like very like sensationalized, but yeah, it came out, and then you can still find it online. I think Sports Illustrated archived it.
Okay.
It's worth a read. It's pretty funny. It's worth a read. But the one anyway, so that's the context. So here's the article from this is from ESPN, May 12th, 2003. Former Alabama. So this is after he already got fired.
Okay.
So he gets hired in December, fired in May.
Uh-huh.
So he was the coach for 4 months.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Former Alabama football coach Mike Price said he was, quote, too drunk to really know what happened at a topless bar in Florida on the night that ultimately led to his firing, the Birmingham News reported Wednesday. But Price told the News that he did not have sex in his Pensacola, Florida hotel room that night, and he denied allegations that he bought alcoholic drinks for students in Tuscaloosa bars on other occasions.
Yikes.
That was the other accusation.
Right.
Was apparently he would just like go out in Tuscaloosa and be like, I'm the fucking coach, and just get hammered with like 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
That was the other, like, and he would like hit on girls, sorority girls, whatever.
Course, right.
That was like, these rumors were like, this was like what broke the camel's back, but there was already rumors like, yo, this guy's a fucking mess.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
So Price was fired as coach Saturday for what university president Robert Witt, that's the guy. For what university president Robert Witt said was inappropriate behavior in connection with Price's visit to a topless bar in Pensacola on April 16th and a woman's $1,000 room service bill ordered to his hotel room the next morning. That's the other part of it, is apparently the girl, so her name's Destiny, the stripper named. That's true. Is so his claim is basically he was too drunk to have sex that night.
Right.
Or if he did, he doesn't remember it.
Right.
But he's saying there was definitely no sexual intercourse having place in that room. But what is true, and he's not even denying, is that, and maybe it wasn't a threesome, maybe it was just this lovely woman, Destiny.
Yeah.
But Destiny stole his debit card. Also,
okay.
that's what that's about.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
And went and stayed at a hotel room.
She racked up $1,000 in room service charges.
Wow. So
and then just left.
You gotta.
So she like ordered a bunch of food and then like bagged it up and left. I think is what happened.
Do we know what hotel in Pensacola it was at?
That's a good question.
Because I'm just
it might
trying,
be in the article.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a gauge of like if it's like a Holiday Inn or something. Like, what does an $1,000 Holiday Inn bill look like? Like it's not like it's the Plaza where you can get, rosé.
It was probably
chocolate covered.
It was probably the Grand Hotel, if I had to guess.
Oh, that place is so decrepit now. But I mean, this was almost 20 years ago, or over 20 years ago.
This is 2003.
Damn. I mean, think about it. $1,000. Like what? I mean, what, she ordered the whole menu? I mean, maybe she was just ordering straight bottles of champagne. Maybe she was ordering, like, bottles of vodka. Like, how do you...
Yeah, it was, I don't see the hotel it was in. I mean, like, if you know Pensacola at the time, Like, there wasn't really a lot of luxury. There really wasn't a lot here in general besides the beach in 2003. So it was probably the Grand Hotel, which is, like, not really a thing anymore. Yeah. It's really decrepit, but like you said, but it was, like, where, like, the nice...
Sure.
It was, like, the nice hotel.
Yeah, it was, like,
so
the luxury.
Surely that's where he would stay.
Yeah, it was, like, the luxury hotel, and now it's, like, ugh, closed.
Yes. So, let me just read a little bit more here. The news said that Price, with his attorney at his side, vehemently denied a Sports Illustrated article set for release Wednesday that said he had sex with 2 women. Oh, I was right. It was a threesome.
Okay.
Wednesday that said he had sex with 2 women in his Pensacola hotel room on the night in question, that he bought drinks in proposition to college students in Tuscaloosa. Price called the story an absolute lie. And then Sports Illustrated stands by the story. The newspaper said Jennifer Eaton, who claims to have been in the hotel room that night, supported Price's assertion that there was no sex. Eaton was described as a 30-year-old native of Hartselle, Alabama. He used to work at Artie's Angels, the Pensacola topless bar that Price visited April 16th. Eaton said she was one of the 3 women in Price's hotel room that night, but only dancing and carrying on took place. What the fuck does that mean? Quote. It was in a quote. Carrying on. So they just gave him a hand job?
I have no clue. I'm asking the wrong person. No, I mean, yeah.
It was rhetorical, I guess. I guess there's no way to know.
Right. Yeah, no, that's crazy. I mean, shout out Pensacola, I guess. But also, it's, like, kind of bold for someone. I mean, I guess it's not like he's, like, a huge celebrity, but it's, like, a big enough celebrity to just, like, waltz into a small town strip club like that and think it, like, wouldn't get out to the public. Or maybe he just didn't care, you know? I mean, was he married or anything? Like...
I think so. I think he was married.
So that's what's crazy to me.
That's not even part of the controversy, though.
Oh,
that's
okay. Sorry, I jumped ahead.
That's like the least important thing about it. And I'm just saying, like, I really don't know if he was or not. But honestly, like, nobody really cares. The only reason, really, why he got fired is because of this president.
Right. Okay.
Because his president was like, we cannot have party culture, and if the guy, like, the most important thing in the state is the football team, and if the head coach of the football team is like getting blackout drunk going to strip clubs,
right,
and then getting his debit card stolen, that's not really a great...
It's not a good look.
You know,
it's
like,
not a good look.
That's not a good leader.
Yeah.
Right?
I get it.
So that's the main thing. Ooh, here we go. Quote, I offered him a table dance. Lori, Destiny. Boudreaux, a married mother of 2 who has worked in strip clubs for 15 years, told Sports Illustrated. He tipped me $60. Then he asked me to take him to the semi-private dance area. He got a little bad there. We have rules, and touching is not allowed. Damn, Mike. It is. I got it. He told me I was the most beautiful woman that he'd ever seen, Boudreaux continued. Quote, he kept telling me he had a room at the Crown Plaza Hotel and he wanted to meet me there late that night.
There we go. Yeah.
Yup. It had to be that. It had to be.
The Crown Plaza, yeah.
Yeah, it had to be that. And then, yeah, whatever. Anyway, it was the Emerald Coast Classic Pro-Am, which is a golf tournament they used to play in Pensacola.
I don't remember
that.
So
that's I don't either, but
I mean, we were 3 years old. Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Crazy story.
That's funny though.
And we were all here during that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we were here.
See, the thing is, like, your parents, I mean, my parents for sure, obviously, they lived here and were Alabama fans. But, like, no, like, it's just, it was really big in, like, 2003. Like, that story was like, holy shit, that fucking happened here.
Yeah.
And then it just got, like, lost to time. Like, nobody really talks about it anymore.
Yeah, nobody talks about it anymore. Yeah, no, I'd never heard that. I mean, it is, like, just going back to my point earlier, like, it's just so ballsy to, like, just, I mean, Pensacola's a small town, like you said, like, you know, to just waltz into a small town strip club and not expect, like, someone to recognize you, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're in, like, Atlanta or Vegas where there's, like, they're used to celebrities going and they have back entrances and you can get a private room and, like, people don't really notice you, sort of thing. Like, there's no way that that's happening at Artie's Angels. I mean, not anything against Artie's. I've never been to Artie's. I've never been to Sammy's, but, like, Pensacola isn't, like, a club town. You know, like, it's definitely more small town vibes. So I just think that that's kind of ballsy, like, across the board to do something like that. But that's funny. No, I mean, I just going back to Nick Saban, I mean, I don't really care. Like, I'm indifferent about it. Like, I don't hate Alabama. Like, I'm not like, God, I hate Alabama. But, like, I'm not an Alabama fan. You know what I mean? I'm just glad that Mike Norvell did not go there. And I didn't think he would, just because, like, it's just, he seems really into Florida State's culture. And Florida State and Alabama have very different cultures and very different fans. So that's all I really cared about with the situation, is just making sure that Mike wasn't going to go. And he didn't, so.
Cool.
I'm fine with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't really care. I don't really have I don't really care. I don't really have an opinion on it. He's 72 years old. I just hope he doesn't have a heart attack and die like 10 days after he retired like Bear Bryant.
Yeah.
So, do you know that?
No, I didn't know. I mean, I knew he was dead, and I knew he was like the other huge legacy at Alabama. I didn't know that he died 10 days after retiring. That is sad.
It was like 2 weeks after. He like coached a bowl game, and then like 2 weeks later had a massive heart attack and died.
That's
like he literally never got to retire.
Right.
Basically.
Like he didn't get to enjoy it. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, but also at the same time, like look at a picture of Bear Bryant when he's 72, and then compare it to a picture of Saban now, and Saban looks way better than Bear. Bear looked rough near the end. Like he was a fucking old ass man.
For sure. And the only other thing I'll say about it, and like it's not like my opinion really matters, but like I do know at least a little bit about college football. I think that like not that it doesn't matter who the coach is, but at a school like Alabama, like I think any coach that's not an idiot could be successful there because their recruits are consistently like so good. Like they have such a good recruiting program. Like I feel like all the good players go there. You don't agree?
They were terrible for like 25 years after Bear Bryant, before Saban.
Yeah, but now you don't think... I think even now, I think people are just like... all of the good people, I feel like, get recruited to Alabama. And like it's like a power horse. Like just because Nick Saban is leaving, I think any coach could walk in and they'll still win games because their players are still good, you know?
I think they were only going there to play for Saban.
Really? You don't think they're just going there because Alabama's just historically really good, like, and just has been for a long time?
I mean, they're not even like all of their history is based on three, I guess. If you want to throw what's his name in there, he won.
I don't know.
What the fuck is his name?
I mean, yeah,
Gene. Whatever.
I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe they'll completely like fall apart, but like, I just don't think so. I mean, I guess we'll see. I think they'll still be good year to year.
The thing, I mean, in again, this is the only sports related thing I'll say to this, and then we'll move on. But the only in the new world of college football with the NIL money, a place like Alabama, unfortunately, it really does come down to just who writes the biggest checks.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to write the biggest checks, at least you have like the greatest college football coach of all time.
Sure.
To help get those players.
Yeah.
But without that guy and without the big checks, because you're going against, I'm a Miami fan, and like it's literally like it's gonna turn into like the cities with the most money in them will just buy the best players and the best teams. That's literally what's just gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean,
like USC has really good recruits like the last couple years because they just buy players and they're like, yeah, here's $500,000 in a high-rise apartment in LA. Come play for us.
Yeah.
Miami does the same thing. Georgia. They like have like the coach and the history, but they also write huge checks. And that's the difference is like teams like Alabama, Florida State, Florida, like these teams that like, I mean, they have money, like they'll write some checks and they have some tradition. But I mean, if it's going to come down to that, like you're just going to miss out on a lot of those players.
Yeah.
Because like you can sell them on the NFL as much as you want, but I mean, they can make money now and then still go to the NFL
and play.
So, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I just wanted to tell the Mike Price story. And I was debating on whether or not we have enough time for me to get into this. I'm just going to say we do. It'll be an extended episode. This is something I wanted to say, a thought that I had, but kind of similar to like talking about Saban and Mike Price and what legacy you leave behind. You probably didn't see this, but I just want to show you this and make kind of like a broader point about something. I'm going to share my screen with you really quick. So this right here, so again, sports story, but it's not really about sports. I'm going to make a bigger point. Just stay with me here.
Okay.
So the Bulls, the Chicago Bulls, obviously they had Michael Jordan in the 80s and 90s. They won 6 NBA championships, whatever. Basically, so sports teams do this thing, like pretty much all of them do this, where they have like their own personal Hall of Fame. It's called a Ring of Honor, where like, you know, the Florida State, like, Jameis is like in the Ring of Honor, right?
Yeah.
Like Charlie Ward is in the Ring of Honor, right? Deion Sanders is in the Ring of Honor, right? It's like a Hall of Fame just for that team's history. So the Chicago Bulls have that. And the Bulls the other night at a home game wanted to they're doing a big ceremony. They're inducting new people into their Ring of Honor.
Right.
And one of the people they inducted into the Ring of Honor is the general manager. The general manager is the guy who like signs players, does trades, kind of like runs the team from like a business perspective. I'm just for you, and like that's kind of what they do. So the guy who is the general manager for the Bulls in the 80s and 90s is a guy named Jerry Krause. And they were inducting Jerry into the Bulls Ring of Honor. And you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
So I'll give context later, but here's what happened. Did you see what happened there?
Is he dead?
So he is dead, yes. But he was getting booed.
Oh.
And so the team, I'll play it one more time. Just listen in on the crowd reaction whenever his name comes on screen. Now, just for the audio listeners, they immediately cut from like a graphic being like Jerry Krause, congratulations, and they cut to his widow, Thelma,
Jesus.
And she's crying. She's very upset.
Yeah, that's just horrible.
Because Jerry's getting booed. That's what's happening. Jerry is getting violently booed by his own fans.
Yeah.
And it's just a very crazy moment, a real fuck up by the Bulls, like the team, like the guy, like the events people who like do these things. Just a real fuck up of a move. Because again, I'll add context in just a second. But there's like a very obvious reason why he's getting booed, and this goes into the bigger point that I want to make. But they knew this was going to be the reaction.
Yeah.
Like they had to know. And what do? They bring out his widow and throw her on screen and be like, hey, guys, you're actually booing her, not him, because he died in 2017.
Jesus.
Like, you're booing his widow for something she had nothing to do with.
Yeah, and she's, like, really
upset. And then,
upset.
so for the audio listeners, it, like, cuts to her, like I said, and she's, like, kind of like waving her arms like, oh, please stop, and she's crying. She's like being consoled on the shoulder by somebody like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So the context is, are you familiar with The Last Dance?
Yes.
You've heard of it, right? The documentary.
Yes, Sam watched it.
Yeah, it's a ESPN documentary about the last season of the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen Bulls, 97-98, when they won their 6th NBA championship. So that documentary came out in 2020, blew up. I think it won some Emmys, very famous. The way that documentary portrays Jerry Krause, essentially, is it portrays him as like this guy who thought he was better than Michael Jordan. He like kind of like an egomaniac, a guy who like everyone would tell him like, oh man, you won 5 NBA titles, but like they're all because of Mike. You didn't do anything. And he's like, well, he seemed very spiteful because he was basically dead set on firing their head coach, Phil Jackson, who's one of the best NBA coaches of all time. They said before, the whole point of the documentary is called The Last Dance because before the season, Jerry Krause said, all y'all are gone no matter what you do. Like if you win an NBA title, like you're still being released. Like you're done. The team's done. And so it portrayed him as very spiteful, as very egotistical, very like didn't even really know basketball.
Sure.
Cause like, cause they talk about like random players that he liked.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, that guy fucking sucked actually.
Yeah.
Like the whole documentary basically is portraying him as like this like bumbling egomaniac idiot. And here's the thing about it is here's the bigger point, I think, is history. I didn't come up with this. Someone smarter than me said this, but history is written by the winners, right? The whole thing with history is like, once those events happen, and as certain time passes, and even as more time passes, this gets even more and more true, is like, you don't really know what actually happened, what actually full context, every opinion, every fact thrown into one to get a full opinion. You don't really get that.
Right.
You get like little tidbits. You get like little stories, like little things, and then people just kind of like use those little facts and then spin it into a story, and then be like, here's the story that will be told
Right.
for like the rest of time.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happens. So in Jerry Krause's world, this is his story. He was he basically devoted his life to the game of basketball, to the business of basketball. He, by literally any account, was extremely successful. Yeah, you know, he broke up, whatever, but like he won 6 NBA championships. Winning 1 is almost impossible. Winning 6 is inconceivable.
Yeah.
And yeah, he wasn't playing on the court, but he had a big part in those teams. He did. If you know the history, he got Dennis Rodman, whatever. Like he was not like some idiot who stumbled on 6. You don't stumble on 6 NBA titles.
Right.
This is his life. 80s, 90s, I think early mid 2000s too. He lives, you know, he's like, you know, was very successful, had accomplishments, lived a great life. Passes away in 2017. 3 years after he dies, a documentary comes out that basically is like, yo, that guy was actually a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
That guy actually didn't know ball. That guy broke up like the greatest NBA team ever. That guy's he has an ego. That guy, everything that I just said.
Yeah.
And now that's his legacy.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's really
One
sad.
documentary made 3 years after he died.
Yeah.
That's it. And so the bigger point, I guess, is you can contextualize your own life in any way. The things you do, your accomplishments, your failures, you can kind of like perceive it in any way you yourself that you want. But once you're gone, that disappears too. However great or bad your life is, in your opinion, it doesn't matter. The only thing that will live on is how you're viewed by other people. And so this is like this is a very extreme example of that, but it's literally like one guy, and not one guy, but like, you know, a couple people can come together and make a documentary about you that basically just tarnishes everything that you did with your life.
Yeah.
And now, 3-4 years later, you have an entire like generation of people who only know you as the guy who let go of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and Phil Jackson. And then you see, like, it's so rare you see this play out in real time in the real world in such an interesting way.
Yeah.
Because what this leads to basically is Jerry lived his life, I'm sure he made mistakes, whatever, but like he by all accounts was a very successful NBA general manager for a very long time, and then he passes away, and then now 6-7 years later, his wife has to get booed in front of a sold-out home crowd of their own fans because one documentary portrayed him in a way that made him look like a bad person.
Yeah, it's really...
How crazy is that?
It's really crazy. It's really messed up. All good points, and like I'm glad that you provided that context. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for her, and it's like, you know, even then, I just kind of go back to like, that was his job, you know? Like, it wasn't like he was like, who knows what he was like behind closed doors, you know? Like, who knows what he was like as a person, like, outside of basketball? Like, he could have been terrible. He could have been an asshole outside of, like, but it's like, it does suck, you know, that one thing gets created after you're dead and you have no say in it, you know, and you have no way to control how you're going to be portrayed, and then your wife just has to deal with people being really rude. That sucks, and I feel bad for her, you know, poor old lady. Like, that really sucks, but hopefully, like, maybe the internet will rally around her or something, or you know, and do something about it. But just going back to your point about one documentary being made and like literally that being your whole legacy, I mean, yeah, it sucks, and vicious, morbid.
And it's just, I guess the point being, like, you know, like I said, the way that you think about yourself really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It matters to you while you're alive, but that version of yourself, like, doesn't exist outside of yourself, and the only thing that will exist is how you're viewed by other people, for better or worse. And so, you know, you can think you have all this control over your life, but for the most part, as long as, like, you don't piss off one person and that person happens to be Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
and then Michael Jordan gets, like, an entire documentary made about how awesome he is, and you're one of his biggest enemies, now for the rest of your widow's life, and for probably at least, like, the next long decades and decades of time, that's your legacy. You're the guy who released Michael Jordan. You're not the guy who won 6 NBA titles. You're not the guy who devoted his entire life to one profession and absolutely excelled at it and reached its peaks 6 times. None of that matters. No one cares. That's it. It is kind of morbid, but it's like,
yeah.
That's what I was thinking about this morning was, what is it, like, what does it matter?
Right.
It does, like, you can think you're a great person, you can think that you're a humanitarian, you can think that you're funny, you can think that you're smart, but if other people don't think it, then it doesn't matter. The only thing that keeps it, the only version of yourself that exists is those that's seen by other people.
Yeah, so the life lesson today on the Leen Show is you should care about what people think. You should wake up every day and care so much about what other people think, because when you die, the only thing that's going to matter is what other people think about you. That's the lesson.
I guess that does
got
kind of
from
sound
that
like
story.
that.
No, I know what you're saying. You're not saying that it's like that. You're just saying that, like, it is crazy that after you die, you know, you do have no control over what people think about you or what your legacy is. You know, like, you don't tell your own story after you're dead. Other people tell your story for you. Yeah, I mean, interesting life lesson. Like, I don't really have anything else to contribute. I definitely feel bad for that lady, you know, but she's rich, so, you know, money solves everything, right? I'm sure she's got a little bit of cash.
Yeah, and then the other thing a lot of people were pointing out is the documentary kind of uses Jerry Krause as, like, the fall guy, when in reality it was the Bulls owner who was basically telling him to do all this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not even really his fault that, like, a lot of the stuff people criticize him for even happened. It wasn't even him. It was the owner who was above him.
Yeah.
This guy Jerry Reisendorf, which is a hilarious name, fucking nerd name.
Yeah.
More like Reisendorf.
Got him.
I think he's dead too.
Rip.
That's his legacy.
Yeah.
Reisendorf.
Yeah, no, and, like, again, you know, this woman, his wife, probably had no idea that something like this would happen, and hopefully she hasn't seen the documentary, or maybe she has, but wishing her the best. Sorry that happened to you. And the people that booed her, I hope that they ended up feeling bad and guilty about it and learned a lesson from it. You know.
Jerry Reisendorf is still alive, so please
Okay.
don't sue me. Jerry Reisendorf, I take that back. I rescind that. Sorry, Jerry. Anyway, that's the Leen Show for today.
Cool.
You know, just a light, fun show. You know, it's a
Yeah.
comedy show at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right.
It
so
is.
we just we just like we like to keep it light. We like to keep it light. We like to, you know, we don't get too deep on here.
We tread the surface.
And yeah, just nothing. It's like listen to this while you're falling asleep. Something kind of light to put in the background, and don't think about, like, how, you know, your entire life will be recontextualized by people you'll never meet after you die, that you have no control over. And no matter what you do in your life, that's the legacy that will keep on.
Amen.
So, thank you to Glazed Eyes for thank you to Glazed Eyes for letting us use their single Way Down off their LP as our intro outro song. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you so much. Please consider giving us a 5-star review. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment on what your favorite existential crisis is. And please follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Leen Show. And I guess this is kind of light. We can end with this. So we had the we have our lovely I miss her or I need her segment,
Yeah.
Kiko,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So Kiko, obviously y'all are probably familiar. On Instagram, that video did really well. It's sitting at about 300,000 views right now, about 14,000 likes. Thank you for that. That's pretty cool. But one of those likes is, and I saw it just came through like a couple months ago, but it came through as like a verified account, and I'm like, oh, a verified account liked it. Who was it? It's a guy named Max Burkholder who liked the reel. Shout out to Max. He's an actor in Los Angeles. He was most well known for, he was on a show called Parenthood.
Okay.
He was like a teenage actor, maybe like 8 to 10 years ago. It was an NBC show, ran for like 4 seasons. I had heard of it. I've never seen it. Sorry, Max. But that was cool. We saw that. And last night, I was watching the Chiefs-Dolphins playoff game that was exclusive on Peacock, on the cock. And they, like, the whole – so there was, like, no commercials, but, like, there were, like, a few, but it was, like, the little ads and commercials they do were all for, like, Peacock shows, Peacock stuff. Yeah. And exclusively on Peacock, they just put out the other day. You're familiar with Ted, right? Seth MacFarlane movie with Mark Wahlberg. So they did a prequel show based on Ted. Oh. And I'm only saying this to say, guess who plays young Mark Wahlberg?
The guy's name you said earlier, Josh. What's his name? I already forgot it. What's the guy's name?
Max Burkholder.
Yeah. Max Burkholder. I had forgotten it already.
Yes, he plays young Mark Wahlberg.
Nice.
He's the lead.
Nice.
And he was like on the screen, you know.
Hey, that's fire.
That was cool.
That's our claim.
That was cool.
That's our claim to fame. Thanks.
That's the one we have right now.
Thanks, Josh. No,
thanks, Max. if that's the only one we get, that'll be pretty sad. But
no. We've got a long way to go. All positive though.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that to kind of end it. Shout out to Max. I have not watched the Ted prequel show,
but we will.
I don't know. Maybe we'll do a watch together or something.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we'll do a community watch together. I don't know, but anyway, thank you guys for listening. Kathleen, any final thoughts?
No, that's it. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you're doing well in your New Year's resolutions. My resolution was to have no resolutions, but hope you guys are doing well on yours.
Fun. Did you accomplish that?
Yeah, so far. Yeah.
Nice. Just be like, my life's pretty good right now. Yeah. I'm not changing anything.
Nope, no change. But yeah.
All right. Later, guys.
Bye, guys.